Ramble YouTube, this is Wrestle Ramble, where I ramble about wrestling. Tonight I want to talk about AEW's 289th episode of Dynamite. This is a historic episode because it surpassed WCW Nitro's longest running wrestling show on the Turner Network. So applause to them for that. I personally really enjoy the product, and I think it's improved wrestling worldwide because it's given other people a place to make money, and competition only brings out the best in everybody. And tonight's episode felt like a pay-per-view. Every match was competitive. It was given the appropriate amount of time. It felt like competition, not just entertainment. And it was a very, very, very high quality of work. Starting off with the first match, which was Mercedes Monet versus Athena. And both ladies have had tremendous success. Athena is the longest reigning champion in Ring of Honor history, holding that women's championship for over 2 years. And Mercedes has not lost a match, I think, in well over a year. And so and each competitor was given the respect due, and they were allowed to be creative. I saw stuff I haven't seen before. One thing that really tripped me out was when Mercedes went for a Hurricane Rana and transitioned into an ankle pick takedown, which I haven't seen before, and then she did a very, very slick Hurricane Rana into a crossface. And both ladies gave it their all, and it was nearly 30 minutes of Class A wrestling. And in my opinion, I know people may think that Takeshita versus Osprey was the match of the night. And while yeah, they're the bigger names, I don't believe that they outworked Athena and Mercedes. Let me get a drink real quick. But I see all this to turn to another point of they started off the show with a brilliant, brilliant match, male or female. It was just brilliant. But then there was something in the middle of the show that really, really took me out. And it relates to the great example of female representation that the show started with. It was after the tag team championship match between the Gates of Agony and the Hurt Business, which was another great match, competitive. Everybody looked better off for it. Okay, well maybe except for the no, I'm not the guy slipped. I'm not gonna talk bad about him. But after the match, after the brilliant match, there was a segment where MJF came out trying to join the Hurt Syndicate, which is all good, and I understand that MJF is meant to be a bad guy, a heel. Now, forgive me because I will talk about it now from not a fan perspective, but as viewing the optics as an entertainment property. Um, Toward the end of the segment, MJF tried to bribe his way into the Hurt Syndicate, which, okay, yes, he's a bad guy. He wants to get bad guy heat. But did he try to bribe his way into the syndicate with money? No. He offered a watch, but that wasn't his main offer. He hinted bringing in other people for the Hurt Syndicate. And the way they said it, I thought to myself, there's no way they're going to do what I think they're going to do. And the more he talked, I realized that it was exactly what they were going to do. And that was have MJF bring out scantily clad ladies to offer the Hurt Syndicate for joining. And we've seen things like this before. And for me, it's always been problematic. I remember a character called the Godfather who would try to bribe his opponents out of the matches by offering them nights with his employees. And I thought that was something that was in the past, but it wasn't. And now I thought, okay, well, this can be saved as a segment if the Hurt Syndicate is offended and outright rejects him. But they weren't offended. And while they weren't swayed by the offer, they did take him up on the offer and leave the ring with the females, scantily clad females, and even had a backstage segment with them. Now, that was bad enough on its face, but then you add that to starting off with a brilliant match between two women, and then in the middle of this show that was a milestone in AEW history, you bring out another grotesque um, use of females, which is as property. And the thing that made it even worse is that when these big companies go into smaller, and when they go into towns with local wrestling scenes, they will often employ local wrestlers as extra, be it used as security that the wrestlers can throw around safely, or as an audience member who accidentally, quote unquote, gets hit by somebody, or backstage medical staff that's just used as fodder. I understand that it's common practice to use local wrestlers. But I think if you are trying to present yourself as a place where women are equal as men, you present women in a consistent way. And it would have been bad enough if they used local models or other, just random women, but they used a local indie wrestler as an extra in this segment. And not only a local indie wrestler, but an indie wrestler that used to work for WWE NXT and has worked for Ring of Honor and AEW recently. And I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to add to what I feel was a shameful use of a talented wrestler. And I know that I'm not the only one who felt that way because I noticed something in the production of the segment is that the cameramen were shooting everybody equally. You got to see everybody's face except for this one local talent who they would show her from behind or they would show part of her on the frame, but they intentionally would not show her face on camera. And with her being such a recognizable person who worked for a major company, it wasn't an accident. So they knew what they were doing was not hip. It was not it. It was a bad look. I know I try to keep things positive, and I think you have a show of this high caliber, and you built up so much goodwill with your fans. I really want to see AEW do better because I love the product. And yes, things like this were done in WCW and done in WWF, WWE. But as we're moving forward, we need to leave these relics in the past, and we need to decide how we're going to, treat female athletes and entertainers in this space. A couple of weeks ago, I felt like they had a big milestone in having a tornado tag team match with male and female participants. And then on top of that, it started off with the brilliant match that I mentioned earlier. And then when that segment aired, it really it took the rest of it really took the rest of the show down for me. And I had a kind of a sick feeling about that. And not in a good way. I didn't get angry at MJF for being a scumbag, which is the right type of reaction that you want. I got angry with Tony Khan for writing and approving this, which is the wrong type of angry reaction you want from your fan base. So that's it for Wrestle Ramble. Congratulations on episode 289 of Dynamite and the new deals and the great, brilliant show that you put on. But if this happens to catch anybody's eye in the wider wrestling world, I hope that it encourages them to do better with the way that we treat our female athletes. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Stay tuned for more comic book reviews and unboxings to my channel, and I will see you next time.